week's episode of Mr. Wizard's Workshop. The burning question for the week is, should you offer a free discovery call? So I'm going to answer that question with an emphatic but qualified yes during this week's episode and provide 3 of the 5 W's of journalism: who, what, and why. Where is actually pretty simple on the Zoom meeting. When is whenever you can get it set up and working for yourself. And I'm going to start answering the H question, how, in next week's episode. So your action item for this week is very simple. After I presented my case, decide if adding a discovery call or refining the one you already have, if you have something in place right now, would be the right thing for you to do for your business. So I have the live attendees on mute. You can drop any questions or comments you have into the Q&A box below. And at the end of the core presentation, I'll check the Q&A and then open up the discussion for questions. So I also am on mute. I recorded this episode, the core content presentation yesterday, and I'm lurking in the background watching the video just like you guys. When the video is completed, I'll come on live and we'll have the Q&A if there are any questions or discussion. As always, if you get some benefit from appreciate the content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. So a discovery call is also known as a free consulting call, a complimentary session, complimentary consultation, a free coaching call, a client conversation, and a conversion call. So depending on who's using the term, all of these mean more or less the same thing with somewhat different emotional tones. But what is it exactly? So a discovery call is the first conversation with a business prospect after they show some initial interest in your service or product. It's your opportunity to get to know the potential client, more specifically to understand the issues and challenges the prospect is experiencing, what their circumstances and goals are, and for them to get to know you. That is, what you do and how you might be able to help them. And for both of you to determine if you are a good fit to work together. So if you watched episode 15 of Mr. Wizard's Workshop, I provided a list of the 10 things that I look for when I want to engage a coach. One of those is that they must offer the opportunity for me to have this conversation with them, i.e. they need to offer a discovery call. So if you haven't watched this episode yet, it is most excellent. I'll post a link to the episode in the description of this week's video below. So discovery call is one type of CTA, call to action, for businesses, especially service businesses like coaches, consultants, freelancers, therapists, architects, builders, and even, lawyers. Remember Better Call Saul from the TV series Breaking Bad? It's primarily targeted towards high-ticket services and programs. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to have a 20 to 45-minute one-on-one call to sell, say, a $90 digital product. It is, or it should be, a structured conversation. I'm going to dedicate a future episode to providing a very detailed framework for exactly how to structure a well-formed client conversation and provide a template. Suffice it to say, for now, that is not a rambling, free-format chit-chat to build generic goodwill or add another friend to your friend list. It also should not be a sample coaching call where they set the agenda and then you coach them towards landing on a solution for whatever they brought to the table. I'll elaborate more on why that is in next week's episode, where I'm going to describe and explain the 3 things that make a good discovery call offer as well as point out some worst practices and bad ideas for your discovery call offer. So like many things in life, there are widely varying thoughts, opinions, and feelings, in some cases very strong feelings about this subject in the GoogleVerse. It ranges from great idea, you must use it, to terrible idea, don't ever do it, with everything in between. And there's also a lot of hair splitting about what exactly the correct term is and what you should or should not call it. So I'm definitely going to make the case that you should offer a free discovery call if your business offers a high ticket service or program and you do it correctly. Otherwise, it'll just big time suck with no real business benefit. Now, I've already given you the definition, and my recommendation is you don't get bogged down in worrying about what the best generic term is. So there's a final, very important element of the definition, which I've saved until last. That is, towards the end of the conversation, if the potential client is a good fit, make the offer for your service or program and then sign them up. So this is Mr. Wizard's workshop for entrepreneurs. So it shouldn't come as a surprise that the end game for this call, if they are someone that you want to work with and you're confident that you could help them achieve their goal, get their result, is to convert them to a paid client so that you can start helping them on a regular basis. This might seem obvious, but I've noticed that many coaches, especially aspiring coaches, have a surprising amount of unease and even conflict around money and being paid for their services. You might think that's a vague generalization, but it really isn't. I've invested in 2 different coaching programs where part of the training was conducting practice client conversations with other folks in the program, i.e. role playing, where they were the potential client and I was a potential coach for them, and then swap roles. By the way, this is a great way to hone your skills in this area, and I would recommend finding several practice buddies that you can work with. So the great majority of these folks, as I said, were coaches or aspiring coaches. And I've done many, many of these practice sessions. And at least 50% of the time, even when I role played as an ideal candidate for their coaching service, they did not ask for my business. So this is despite the fact that both programs specifically included this final step in their recommended script framework. They just could not bring themselves. I'm probably lucky that I came to coaching after a long career as an IT consultant. As a top-notch hired gun, it's a given that your motivation is not solely to serve, that there's a financial aspect to it also. And many years ago when I was in college, I spent a summer selling books door to door. So if you didn't ask for a buying decision at the end of your pitch, it made for a very awkward wind down of the conversation. You'd be sitting at the kitchen table across from some housewife, and she would be looking at you with a what's next or what the hell expression on her face if you're both just sitting there staring at each other. So I'm down with the fact that as a business coach, I'm providing my services in the expectation of getting paid. However, if you only focus on money and you don't care about helping people, then you're not going to help people to the best of your ability. And people are going to read this mindset and often, I think rightly, not be interested in working with you. This means you're not going to make as much money as you otherwise could have. But if you're only focused on helping people and you don't care about the money, well, you need money to live and provide for your family. Your business needs money to pay for software tools, invest in training, hire people or outsource tasks, advertise, etc. So money feeds the business, which then grows to help more people. In other words, you need to focus on making money and helping people if you want to make the most money and you want to help the most people. Being heart-centered does not mean that making money is sleazy and somehow inappropriate. Mother Teresa raised millions and millions of dollars for her cause. I think that the challenge for those folks who couldn't pull the trigger was a mindset problem. They didn't want to be perceived as salesy or pushy or thinking of themselves as being that way. And they had the belief that you have to behave in an aggressive, salesy, inauthentic manner to get the sale. This is absolutely not the case. Done right, telling someone how you could help them and explaining the services which you offer is just a natural part of the conversation. There's a rhythm and a flow to the conversation which leads naturally to you making the offer if you arrive at the understanding this is someone that you could really help. You are a trusted advisor, not a salesman. So a couple of weeks out, I'm going to develop a whole episode to explaining how to structure the script framework for your call and provide a template to use. For now, why exactly do I recommend that you master the discovery call and make it an important part of your business process? Well, if you want to be a coach or other service provider, there are three things that you have to be able to do. You have to be able to help your clients to get the results that they want. You've got to be able to generate leads. That is, find potential qualified prospects who want the results that you can offer. And you've got to be able to convert those leads into clients. If you can't convert leads into clients, you don't have a business, you have a hobby. So let's assume that you have number one and number two mastered. You have massive skills in your domain, and you have a process or processes in place that brings you lots of folks that you would love to work with. And that could include referrals from current clients. If you don't have an effective process in place to qualify and convert those leads, it's like trying to water a large garden with a sieve. All of that water, all of those opportunities are completely wasted. So the happy path to use a programming term through your business processes is people hear about you. They have a discovery call with you, and then they hire you. An alternate path, which is also good, is people hear about you, they have a discovery call with you, and you discover they are not a good fit. You don't make the offer, and you sidestep all of the annoyance and stress of having a pain in the ass client. Bada boom, bada bing. You get the clients that you enjoy, you get paid, and you experience the fulfillment of helping other people. You get to help generate more success for happiness for your client and for yourself. So when you offer a free session, someone gets to experience you one-on-one, and it translates to them saying yes to you, to your one-on-one offer, because that's what they're experiencing with you, and you can have them wanting more. I believe that a one-on-one free session, a discovery call, is the best way to generate one-on-one clients. So let me give you the recap. So in this episode, I've explained what a discovery call is, who might benefit from using it, where it would fit into your business processes, why you should strongly consider mastering the use. If you have a limiting belief or you're conflicted about making money, I tried to address that concern. And last, I made the point that a discovery call doesn't have to be awkward or salesy. And in fact, that is not how you should approach it. So in next week's episode, I'm going to explain in detail the three key elements of a good discovery call and how to develop an offer that fits you and your business. So I hope this has been useful information for you and that you decide to start mastering the art of the discovery call. So remember, your action item is to decide for yourself based on the content I presented, would this be a good thing for your business? Do you want to make it happen for yourself? All right, I'm going to open up the floor now. Hey, Mars, can you hear me now?
Yes, now I hear you, but it's lagging. It's like cutting off.
I rebooted my computer. My internet's some days not that great, so we'll just bumble through. So did you have any particular questions or discussion points that you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I guess one question is how long do you usually do your schedule your discovery calls?
So I actually describe it as a 30-minute and then block out 45 just in case we get in a flow. But I don't think it's productive to go beyond that. How about yourself?
I'm still figuring this out for myself. Currently, I always schedule 1 hour,
Mhm.
but I'm not planning on just so the other person and I have 1 hour blocked out, but doesn't
Right.
mean it's always gonna go for 1 hour.
Right. The other thing I do is I have kind of a preliminary set of questions that when they schedule in Calendly, because that's a feature you can use in Calendly and probably most of the other scheduling apps, is there's 5 or 6 questions that I ask them to give me some basic answers on. So that can save some time. So I go into the call with at least some basic information, and that also tells me something if they don't choose to provide that content. Like, okay, maybe they're not that motivated.
Yeah, yeah. So these questions, are they part of your Calendly form, or
Hmm.
are they provided with them afterwards? Like, do they first have to answer them and then pick their day and time, or already
Uh,
after they booked, that's when you send them the questions?
well, they get the questions as part of it's a feature that's built into Calendly. I'm trying to remember. I think you have. I'm not sure of the timing, and I made them optional.
Ah, okay, okay. Then I know what you mean. Okay, got it.
So I think you can actually make it required. But I didn't choose to do that, and I don't that often get people who don't choose to give me any of that information. I mean, sometimes they might be a little bit terse, or they just give you kind of a 1 or 2 sentence description, but that's usually good enough. And then other people, they give you chapters. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah, I like that. So, because also sometimes maybe we can answer 3 out of 4 questions, or
Hmm.
5 out of your 6 questions, and there's this one question that's just
Yep.
difficult to answer right now, or we don't have clarity on it.
Yep.
So I like the idea of having it optional, unless of course they are absolutely required, so you can even do the discovery call properly.
And down the road, if I, at a certain point, when you get to the point where you have lots and lots of people wanting to schedule discovery calls with you, I think that would be the time to potentially get a little bit more qualifying or restrictive on the front end. Right now, and it's good practice. And honestly, I have probably about 60%, maybe a little bit better conversion rate. And a lot of times it's because I decide they're not a good fit. Because one of the points I was trying to make in the video is you are also discovering whether this is someone that you want to work with, someone that's a good fit for your services.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I've also seen like really popular high ticket programs where you pay for the discovery call
Hmm.
with the caveat that if you
Right.
don't get into the program, or you decide you don't want to join the program, then
Right.
you are refunded. And
Yes.
that's like one way how they can ensure qualified
Yep.
calls from the get-go.
And that is one option. I mean, that would be another way you could start kind of tightening up the process when you have more demand for discovery calls than you have supply of time. I'm kind of ambivalent about that. I mean, I can see the logic of it in certain circumstances, and as you well know, if you pay attention. A couple of times I've engaged people where they had some particular expertise I wanted to drill down on, and they offered a consulting call conversation, and had a kind of a front end charge. But typically, when I do that, I've done that a couple of times. There was a particular thing that I wanted to pick their brain on, and I went into the call pretty much with the idea that I wasn't going to engage them for an extended period, get into like a 6 month or 1 year coaching program.
Yeah, yeah, it was from the get-go, you saw this as a one-off
Yeah.
consultation kind of thing.
Exactly. So I think that putting a price tag on the call will get you more of that type of thing, which, I mean, that wouldn't be horrible, but especially starting out until you get really going, I think it's better that it is free.
Yeah, I can't speak to the paid discovery calls because I'm not doing them myself.
Right.
I've just seen, I think it's, yeah, I think it's Jeff. Yeah, I saw it on Jeff Walker's product launch
Yep.
course where they do the 5-day event, and
Yep.
at the end they say, if you want to join the program, it costs, I don't know, I think it's like 15 grand or something. If you want to join the program,
Right.
that's how much it costs. But
Yeah.
first, you need to talk to one of our coaches.
Right.
And for this call, we ask you to make I think it was $150 or $100 deposit.
Right.
If you join the program, those $100 are added,
Yep.
deducted from the final price. And if you don't get into the program, then you'll be refunded.
Right. Yeah, and I think Christian Mickelson does something similar. It's like a deposit, right? I mean, I don't. Eben Pagan doesn't, or at least he didn't when I got into the VC program. He may do it for his bigger coaching program. His 1 year. I think he calls it VC Accelerator. Seems like I remember that they might do that where if you want to get in, you have to tee up a call and you make like a deposit, and then if you go forward. Or I think if they decide you're not qualified, which I don't know how often that actually happens, but you get the money back.
Yeah, yeah. It's just something I've seen. That's why I brought it up, but I
Yeah,
haven't done this myself.
It's something I would consider, although I'd have to give some serious thought to, how to structure that and what's reasonable and fair, because the primary goal of that call would be for me to engage someone in a one-on-one. Now, when and if I ever get to the point where I have a big group program, I think that would make a lot of sense. So if I'm doing a discovery call for people who have some strong interest in getting into a pretty large high ticket group program, I think that would be a logical thing to do is, hey, if you want to book some time with me, it's gonna, you need to put some skin in the game up front.
Yeah, I can see that.
I know you have a website. So do you have a, schedule a call with me option on your website?
Yes, it's also on Calendly, and when you click that, what's written on my Calendly calendar page,
Right.
it just says Ask Morris.
One of the things I was really diving down, revisiting some of the good content I had from all this, from free sessions that sell, Christian Mickelson, and some of the other content I have. They actually recommend don't have that available all the time on your website. Because it causes people to think, oh, I can do this anytime, and oh, okay, he's always doing this. Why, maybe it isn't that valuable.
I mean, in my case, I think almost all of my calls are through email anyways, or direct messages where
Right.
I have a conversation with someone and then it turns out that we're better off just talking because
Yeah.
they have a specific problem they want fixed. And then I say, okay, pick a time on my calendar, and then they get the link to my calendar, and that's where I feel like it makes sense when there's written Ask Morris, because
Yeah. True.
that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Right.
But the other thing that I have is for my video group,
Yeah.
the sales page for my video group.
Mhm.
It's actually an application form. So it's not a calendar. They have to fill out their name,
Mhm.
email, and fill out the message box with some information about them.
Mhm.
And then I receive that application submission, and that allows me to contact them via email and follow up with them.
Mhm.
And that's where I can put the link and to tell them, okay, let's have a call and let's see if this group is necessary for you and what you're going to get out of this group.
You have a
Cool,
great,
Steven.
yeah. Thanks for joining. You have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next Tuesday.
Yeah, always nice to join you here on Sunday evening. See you Tuesday, Steven. Have a great Sunday. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.